Šiandien visą dieną kalbėjome apie dabartį.
Today we were discussing what's happening now and what's happening in present, but let us try to take a look to the future. What will become possible in the future? We have very prominent people in this area, and we would like to ask what will be the future trends and what we cannot predict.
Here on stage, I'll present you here. So let's give a round of applause for our speakers in the panel discussion. Okay, so realistic breakthroughs of AI to prepare for in the near future, that's what we are going to talk about. Our speakers are, next to me is Domas Janickas, a creator of AI businesses, the organizer of this event. Labas Domai, let's try the microphone. Next to him is Pierluigi Casale, the innovation officer at European Parliament. We heard him before. Once again, hi, Pierluigi.
Hello.
Joining us, Vytautas Kubilius, Google Lietuva vadovas. Sveiki, Vytautai.
Sveiki.
And of course, Paul Alexander, CEO of Beyond. We heard him in the beginning. Hi.
Hello again.
My question is pretty open this time. So what's coming next? We talk about a lot of things, and I wonder what's in your mind. We all want to know what we don't know. I think we all wished we knew about ChatGPT coming 2 years ago, 3 years in advance, so we could prepare, right, for the moment. Is there anything specific that's in your mind? I have some ideas that I want to talk about. For example, AI agents. What do you think about that? But what do you think is the next trend or big thing in AI?
If you don't mind, I'll kick off. We saw it earlier on today. Conversational AI, I think, is going to really take off. I saw the presentation earlier on Vivian. Not to be confused with the Vivian, who is a very famous UK drag queen, by the way. But Vivian and tools such as Vivian, especially in the workplace environment, are going to become increasingly important, I think. Conversational,
right? In what kind of context would you like to, are you imagining to see it? Yeah.
Conversational AI for call center management, for being able to understand what someone is saying, what they're doing, overlaying that on the context as well. So being able to contextually respond to how someone is speaking on the other end of the phone is going to become increasingly important. And NLP will help us. Obviously, will help us understand things better. But conversational AI, I think, is going to be the forerunner that will enable more contextual understanding of the conversations that are going on. So you take an example from what I was talking about this morning. A retailer, someone phones up, someone is complaining about a particular product. If 2 people do the same thing, if 3 people do the same thing, there's suddenly an issue with the product. Then there might be an issue with the supply chain as well. So flowing the data, flowing the information all the way through from that conversation directly into the supply chain and the manufacturing to say, okay, we've got an issue. This product is not being built in the right way. How do we fix it? So being able to understand the conversation, understand the context of the conversation, and flow that all the way through to the supply chain, through to manufacturing, I think is where we're heading.
We are already seeing some examples of that, right? Kind of early examples, but the programmer, I forgot the name, the programming robot that was tasked with some objective and went to Slack to ask the others as a colleagues and so on. It was quite an interesting example. Vytautai, what would you add? What's the exciting thing that you're looking forward to?
I'm trying to think, and I have absolutely no idea. As you said, we wish we would have known about the stuff coming. I guess we did know in some sense, but what comes to my mind, I'm really thinking about my favorite futurologist, Roy Mara, saying that we tend to overestimate the technological effects in the short term and we tend to underestimate in the long term. So what I mean by this is that, let's not lose the focus. Let's not focus on what's out there, what's coming. A lot is already here. And that is the important part, I think, that we don't wait up for 100% ready solution and go from a 0 to 100. So that's the important part for me. And you know, I don't know if any of you are watching, for example, now there is a Google event, Google Cloud Next, and what I see and what I'm reading there, I see a lot of customers being brought on stage, you know, to present real cases. You know, this is actually happening. This is what Lufthansa did. This is what Etsy did already. And this kind of brings to me, you know, a thought that this is clearly a global kind of issue that we are noticing, that a lot of people are waiting for, I don't know, AGI, robotaxis, flying cars, and they kind of don't see what's already out there. And there are so many cool things, if you think about it. I mean, again, I work on a daily basis with Google Ads. You know, what we see right now, how machine learning is being implemented in Google advertising, performance max campaigns. If I think back 3 or 4 years ago, that sort of sophistication, that sort of precision, that sort of analytics and insight was available to the top of the top customers, like millions and millions of advertising per year in budgets. Right now, this is available to everyone. And if you look around, this is the case with AI across so many things already. I mean, I don't know, even again, you know, I'm a Google spokesperson, so I guess I do need to name a few. You know, if you think about like flood forecasting, fire forecasting, now I saw a project about potentially removing half of the CO2 emissions from planes by just helping them select the right elevation so that they don't condensate the sky so much. This is insane. And I think we're going to see a lot of that in the coming years. It's like simple, you know, implementation of the current technology already at a scale for the societal benefit. So that's, I think, is clear. Otherwise, I think we're going to see some crazy stuff. Lots of startups, lots of cool ideas. No idea how to predict that, though.
Yeah, great to hear, but even you can't really predict it. Pierluigi, what do you think?
I totally agree. I mean, we don't need to wait for technology, but we have example of this, right? Neural network are there since 20 years ago, and some engineering tricks made available the deep learning and this transformation in deep neural network. Suddenly, transformers technology came. Almost GPT-2 was there already since many years, but there was this trick of reinforcement learning from human feedback that made it more conversational. So we can talk actually now with algorithms, and this is very interesting. So, and we have also other examples that somehow they are, you know, having kind of problem to fly. Let's say we see that the blockchain is there since many years, but is still there. How much value is really bringing, you know, what, for common people, right? No, not for the investors. Even quantum computing is still there. There is something that needs to be worked out, how to properly use it, but it takes time to fly. So we don't need to wait for technology. We need to actually see what is here now. And to complement, I totally agree with the cases that have been mentioned now, but I think there will be an industry that will be totally transformed, because at the end, these algorithms, they are powerful to create in a certain way, right? And industries like creative industries, movie making, writing, these are things that are coming up more and more, also to unlock the proper power of this technology, this creativity that somehow is there. And for, of course, in a proper way, we are blocking for critical applications, but we can unlock for this more creative stuff. There are already, in Japan, a person at Vytautas won a prize, and she admitted that she used generative AI to continue writing the book. There are photographers that start winning photography contests to this. And this will be an industry that will have a shift, total shift now with technology. And slowly, we still need to wait a bit the technology. We cannot yet make movies, full movie. But still, we can create something that, from a sentence, we have a short movie that makes already sense, right?
Yeah, well, OpenAI Sora is coming up this year, so I'm already generating some music videos with AI. So it's not great. It's not that bad. Also, at the same time, Domas, what do you think? What are your foresight?
Probably just a few more things. I guess we'll see a trend where we'll have 7 billion software engineers, in a way that nearly anyone can become a software engineer creating some automation, some software solution themselves, rather than having to rely on their own IT team or outsourced vendor, which should in my opinion, change a lot of organizations. Them being able to solve their own problems internally rather than relying on someone else. At the same time, I think that the overall AI solutions are becoming more accessible as well. I've been talking with Vytautas a bit earlier that I myself have a few projects and a few ideas where from in the past, having an AI project meant having a team of machine learning engineers, data scientists, quite a lot of staff working on complex problems, doing a lot of R&D work. Whereas now, in some cases, it can mean like connecting the pipes. You know, even a shout out to Google platform, of course, but you can pick some off-the-shelf solutions, connect them together, pass the data from one of those solutions to another one, and have the output that you wanted to achieve. So that's one thing. And when it comes to technology, I think we have not been talking enough about digital twins. So let's say being able to create a digital twin of your ideal customer, or certain types of customers. So being, let's say, Coca-Cola and creating a video ad, and before you spend millions of dollars on TV and internet advertising, you want to know if it will fly, if it will work well for your audience, what they will think, how they will react, predicting the emotion. And actually those things are being built already, and they're getting better and better. So we'll use that for advertising. Of course, it will be used in elections as well, I think. But that's you know, content side, but there are digital twins in, let's say, in manufacturing. So being able to emulate your factory or your shopping mall, whatever. So I think that's the next big thing. Yes. What others said as well.
I was going to say the world is becoming. We are creating a world where everyone could be a developer. I think there's an important point around QA and making sure that the work of everyone is being done is checked, that everyone is doing is checked. You know, how many people know people who can code in Visual Basic and do things on Excel at a very basic level, but how many mistakes are coded into those kind of environments? And QA has got to become, or quality assurance, quality assistance, and also regulation has got to become an important part of the future of AI.
I think it was Jeff Bezos who said that maybe we should look at this boom of AI, especially generative AI, as a discovery more than an invention. So that it happened, so like discovering America, right? Like, what do we do now? What's next? Because there is this kind of feeling of amazement, of shock, a little bit, right? We're kind of lacking imagination sometimes of what we can do with ChatGPT. So there is a kind of a shock in the sentiment in the public. Where do you think the sentiment is going? At the moment, I can see enterprises questioning, so how can I use it? The public is questioning also, how can I use it, and being skeptical about it, a lot of different sentiments. Where do you see this going? Maybe we are going to talk less about AI in 1 year or 2 years because we will get so much used to that? Or do you think we are going to even be more into that in the near future? Where's the sentiment going?
I'm trying not to be panicked by the last presentation before this one. As consumers, I think there are two routes. You're either panicked or excited. And the excitement is created by actually engaging with the AI tools and understanding that you're engaging with the AI tools. Those people who are not engaging with them and don't really understand them, you know, my mother-in-law the other day got an email from a long-term friend of hers. She's just turned 80. My mother-in-law's just turned 80. She got an email from a long-term friend of hers who is French and lives in the US, and she put it through ChatGPT before she responded to my mother-in-law. And my mother-in-law responded saying, "I don't want to be spoken to by an AI chatbot. Please, can you correct this?" And I think there is there's an age issue, there's a psychographic issue, there's a demographic issue. There are people who are generally scared about the future, and I'm finding it hard not to be scared after the last presentation. And I work in the industry, so I think that consumers, there is a lot of work to be done on educating the public at large, everyone else outside of this room. Everyone in this room has a certain knowledge of AI and its potential, but there is a job to be done to help people understand that actually it is quite exciting in the future, and there is regulation coming that will protect them, or will seek to protect them as best as we can.
I'm sorry, and you said you worked on MI6? No, it's my brains are also hearing spy stuff. I also, my bad. Okay, so talking about regulation, I want to ask you: do you see that Europe and the USA are again taking different paths? Not the first time, not the last time, but some people are saying it's going to lead us to very different directions. USA going forward and implementing everything and saying, let's go, let's create, let's make it, and maybe Europe lagging behind because we have all these regulations and so on. Can it be so? Or maybe USA is inventing stuff that we are actually using but not inventing ourselves because we have so much regulation. Pierluigi, I think it's not the first time you hear this.
Yeah, definitely. This is totally correct. We need to see things from different perspectives, a different point of view. Well, of course, I mean, the race on AI has been there since a long time. This is nothing new. So we know that US has been always on the front end of the development of this technology. Actually, the name artificial intelligence comes from, I don't remember exactly who, but who put the name artificial intelligence just to get money from DARPA to get the research project approved, right? That's the reality of it. And the point that we need to consider at least, well, and of course, what we need also to consider talents. Talent somehow, especially in this moment, is not new. This also happens from since quite some years, are attracted by these big tech companies that unfortunately are not from Europe. And this is something that it's reality. And it's there. So somehow, well, there is this kind of also talking with several people here around, this kind of things. Okay, Americans, they do business. The Chinese do what they want, and we in Europe, we do regulations, right? And this is for the GDPR, now for the Act. Well, in a certain way, no, it's not lacking behind, but in a certain way is to approve a certain way of working, just putting more ethical boundaries around what is allowed to do, right? And of course, technology is not democratic, right? We are seeing this also from a presentation before. So technology is not democratic. Who has the technology has more power nowadays. And this company, even hardware companies, are in US. The GPUs are from NVIDIA, that is an American company, and for us it's also a problem of infrastructure. It's not just the regulations that are limiting our possibility to do more. Actually, Europe is doing what's possible to do. It's a bit a matter of lack of, well, not lack of talent. We have plenty of talents, but these talents are at the service. The greatest mind of this period, this quote, were improving ads and advertising, right? So this is a bit how we should put a better focus on what we do. And at the end, the regulation, as I said before, that's why I didn't show a slide about penalties, is not a way to forbid, but a way to move forward in a certain way, in a correct way, in a also ethical way.
If you don't really have something to add, I want to ask you, what's in your mind as since we're trying to prepare for future, for realistic breakthroughs, what's in your mind as a CEO, as someone who is consulting policymakers and so on? Me as a creative person, once again, I released a music album in Lithuanian by AI just 2 days ago. Still feeling proud about that. As a content creator, as a TV radio show creator, I really think about creativity in my field. I'm thinking how everything is going to impact creativity. I'm actually thinking about maybe the best path in my career is actually to travel to Australia for 4 months to get new ideas, because that's where I'm competing in the field of ideas, and I need those because I need ideas what to create with this Sora model. You know, I'm thinking of a scenario at the moment. So I'm thinking, what are you preparing for? What are your thoughts in your field, in your everyday work? Is there anything you're actually preparing for at the moment, or have decided to prepare in the last few months since all these new developments? Has anything changed in your mind?
Thank you for turning to me. In the face of regulation and in the face of tightened and strictened environments, I think people find creativity and can be quite talented. So I think one of the most if someone is being restricted, and if you are being constricted from doing something, it's a bit like salesmen, you know, a little bit like they will find a way to make something happen when everyone else is being restricted around. And I think that the opportunity is to work within a regulatory framework in order to be as creative as you possibly can. I think there are some, you know, some of the examples that you talked about Lufthansa earlier on, you know, the AI that got a flight, Qantas flight now directly, you talked about Australia, directly from Sydney to London with ostensibly the same fuel tanks that a normal plane has. That was done via technology, and that was done via the intelligent systems that sit on top of that plane and sit in that environment, flying at the right height, flying at the right altitude, understanding where to go, understanding exactly what to do. That is AI, and that's quite exciting. And that's the creativity that is born from adversity, which is restriction. When people are restricted, I think more creativity happens, and we push things out. I refer to our, you know, typically we've been working in teams in our organization for many years of consultants and decision scientists, and I refer to them, I said earlier on I came from an advertising background, I refer to them as our creative team. They are our art directors and our copywriters. Someone is looking at the detail and someone is looking at how to frame the proposition and how to think about how we translate that into business use. And I think that my personal opinion is, I went in and presented to some city traders a few years ago who were all complaining about the new regulations coming into London in terms of the ability to trade. They were very negative. And they were saying, well, the future of the UK and where we are and our ability to trade is going to be compromised. It's far from that. They have found a way to be able to do what they do within a regulatory framework that makes what they do still exciting and use technology to help it. So I think creativity is born from adversity, personally.
Vytautas, are you preparing?
Sure. So, and excellent points, by the way, I completely agree. But I'm also thinking, we are going to see an explosion of creativity in other fields that we don't tend to think of creative. When we talk about creativity, we think video, we think music. I think we're going to have much more creative people in general who are using AI. And I'll give you just a very simple example. I'm being trained on AI and cloud and etc. on a nearly daily, if not weekly basis, and it still takes an effort for me to get used to that. To start thinking, oh, should I try actually, to use the generative AI on this? And it's crazy. It's crazy the advancements that we see week after week. So very simple example. I've had a project. Everyone has those projects that are just huge and you just can't start going with them, right? Because it's so much easier to fix your quick emails and etc. And the deadlines are there. And I'm getting pushed from colleagues who are saying, we want timelines. We want like specific, agenda, when, what you're going to do. And it's a managerial task. It's a managerial task to figure out how do I approach this in a wider region for a wide group of people. And I just threw in, a prompt saying, this is the challenge that they have. I work for a large multinational corporation. Imagine that we have all the resources available and all the functions available. How would you approach this task? How would you break it down into smaller steps? And how do you think, how much time would it take? And like, holy cow. And I'm getting stuff that I took 80% of that, I left essentially in an Excel because that was good enough. That's a brilliant, like step-by-step guide for me. So I'm becoming, a more creative manager, if you will. And I think we're going to see a lot of that. It's just like stuff that you might not have thought about. Again, you could throw in your pitch presentation and ask, like, be my coach. Tell me where are the possibilities for me to stumble on this pitch? What would be adversarial questions against me if I'm a startup? Like, what am I not expecting from a venture capital company? Ask, a AI chatbot, you are now a venture capital company, tell me what you don't like about my pitch. These are crazy examples. I dare you, give it a try, and you're going to see some very, very new stuff. This will spark sort of a moment of creativity for you.
Great. Thank you very much, Vytautas. Pierluigi, are you preparing?
Well, I would like to build up a bit because I totally agree on this. But there is still a point, right? Once I've been asked, can we analyze the answer of this survey? And it was kind of very long survey with many answers, all these kind of things. And of course, with classical data science techniques, we can do this, NLP, these kind of things. But imagine all these answers, they were put inside a generative AI model and was able to analyze everything. And I went to the managers and they said, okay, that's what a computer can do. That's the insights that the computer can achieve analyzing this. Now, you as a manager, how can you behave better than the computer? Which are the findings and the insights that you can generate as a human, as a manager, as a good manager on top of this? And I think this is the way that we need to think. So the boring tasks are devoted to computers, right? The white page problem is something, when you start writing something or creating a presentation, where do I start from? They can give you this kickstart. The boring stuff is done. Now, where do you put, as a human, your intelligence, your creativity to make it better? And this is the push that I think we still need to give there. So we are still humans. We are creative. We are smart. We are intelligent, really intelligent. And we need to push ourselves to do better than a computer.
Exciting. At the same time, I think, my guess is, to be very honest, I think at the same time you can think, that's pretty exhausting. As a human being, now I have to step up, and I was kind of feeling good with my work, and I had time for a coffee, and now these young kids are coming and they're going to do this in a smarter way. So I think that's also a sentiment, right? To be honest, we are feeling, oh my God, if I'm not doing this, someone else is going to show me like, oh, I did this in 5 minutes. You can't do it in 2 days. So it can be scary a little bit.
But but that's why it's important. Exactly, coming back, I think it's super important that we start using the technology now, right? Not wait for the perfect solution, 0 to 100 mentality. It's very interesting to see. When you talked about regulation, as a European citizen, I actually like that we are focused on the user, on the citizens, and that we really have this approach of making sure that everyone is safe. But at the same time, we do have this creativity just as well going. There are frameworks. The European Commission is very ambitious in terms of how many companies they want to see using the AI. So I think we are generally on a good path, but it's up to us now also as individuals. We are all business representatives, but we are also private people just as well. And I think it's important that we get going. I see reports, of a lot of companies saying, yeah, well, we tried a little bit, but the results, I don't know, but we are definitely doing something interesting next year. Why next year? I mean, come on.
I think I was going to say that 80%, being able to punch something into a tool and then have 80% of the answer in front of you, that 20% of input that the human has is where the value is a lot of the time. You got the answer, you've got the white paper, you've got the blank sheet of page, and it's given you 80% of the answer. That 20% of input that you have is based on your experience, based on what you know, and based on the context that you can give, because we're not quite there with contextual AI yet, that's where the 80% of the value is created, and that can't be underplayed in any shape.
Domas, share your thoughts.
Yeah, maybe just a few more things. So overall, this conference is for managers and decision makers, right? And we probably have to factor in that the job of managers is changing with all this. If your main task for quite a lot of time was to consume data from various aspects of your organization and make decisions based on that, so probably a system is already able or will be soon able to make it way better than you and way faster. But then there are other aspects to focus on, right? So talking about creativity, but also empathy and human connection. Maybe your main task becomes to, of course, drive the strategy and the vision, but to motivate your team a bit more, spend more time in the one-on-ones, and then simply shifting the priorities, and of course, reinventing yourself a bit. And then that's quite a challenge. That's scary for everyone, I guess. But
yeah, Just to add something from myself, when we do trainings about AI tools with the colleagues, I just want to agree maybe with Vytautas that it's very important to try out the tools now, because I think you get some kind of intuition of where it's going. For example, when I generate music and I generate videos and I generate pictures, there is something similar in those tools. I can't really explain it, and sometimes I think I can generate something well just because I generated some other tools or before, and there are some things I can't really put into knowledge yet, because it's really hard to explain the logic behind ChatGPT and other tools, right? We don't really know why it gives that example. So I can imagine in 2 or 3 years those tools are going to be so much more developed, so much more subtle, and have so much more functions, and it's going to be so much harder to get this intuition of where it's coming from. And since we have to wrap up, and it's been a great but a long day, maybe Domas, some final words, while still we are all here, to wrap up the discussion and the conference, since that would be the way to finish. Yeah?
Yeah, so yeah, I believe that we are in a phase where we'll have to, where we'll either forget about AI and we'll stick to saying software. We had software for many years, and that's it won't be a trend anymore. It will be just business as usual, and we'll call it software, or we'll call all the technologies or all the software AI, and we'll forget saying software. We'll say I just use AI to do stuff. I've asked AI to do things, etc. And so I believe that this is probably the case. That's why I bought the domain, so AILT. So I hope that we are on the right path and on the right trend here, being together, being interested in those technologies, trying to learn how to adapt those in our organizations, but also ourselves as individuals. And I hope that we'll meet again in next year, that we'll have amazing advancements by then, and that we will remain challenged by the progress of the technologies. And that we'll have plenty of stuff to do. I believe that AI is not here to take our jobs; it's here to give us new ones. And I'm excited to see what it is for myself. Yeah.
Great. So first of all, thank you, Paul, Vytautas, Pierluigi, and Domas. Domas, thank you 2 times for organizing this. A round of applause for our panel discussion, a short one. And thank you all for listening. I hope it was a pleasurable experience. Don't hurry. If you want to catch up maybe with the speakers and ask a question, since there was no opportunity now, you can do so. And it was my pleasure, Lukas, and see you in some other times. Thank you very much. Have a great weekend.
Ačiū, Lukai.
Ačiū.